unpopular opinion, as a registered dietitian, you should not accept insurance, right? And it's not because insurance is inherently bad. It's because most dietitians enter this area, this space of private practice completely unprepared and it costs them. So while you guys may be thinking, Amy, you are a business coach for dietitians looking to open insurance-based practices, there are a lot of red flags I see during a discovery call or just in talking to dietitians in general. So, after working with thousands of dietitians on insurance billing, I can tell you honestly, sincerely, all the way to my toes, accepting insurance is not the right move for everyone. So, if you skip this conversation, this really important one that we're going to have today, you're setting yourself up for frustration, denials, lost money, and a lot of really big headaches and frustration, right? So today I want to talk about the three reasons, I'm going to call them like the three red flags for dietitians that prove to them that they should not be accepting insurance. And like I said, honestly, many dietitians fall into these, and I am not mad at you. I still love you, but I just don't think insurance is for everyone. So let's get to it, right? Number one, right? You're not willing to learn the language of insurance, right? So if you're not willing to learn the language, you should not be using it, right? So for context, insurance has its own language, and some days it can feel like a foreign language, right? We have CPT codes, modifiers, ICD-10 codes, medical necessity, units, frequency, documentation. That's a word that you guys know. That's not a foreign language, but it has its own language. And each one of these words has an important definition and an application. So if you do not understand it, even at a basic level, you're handing over control of your revenue, which I don't want to see. I'd much rather you not accept insurance and not go through all of the nonsense because it can be very frustrating. When you do not understand the language, it makes it really hard to spot billing errors, right? Because you're just not trained and educated. You don't understand denial. So you provide the service of MNT, you submit the claim, you don't get paid, but you don't know how to fix it. And third, this is a hard part. As very educated professionals, you rely on guesswork. You rely on Google. You rely on Reddit threads, right? And a lot of times those do not give you the clarity you need, right? So you don't need to know everything about billing insurance, but you do need to know enough to get paid, right? And get paid correctly and get paid consistently, right? So, number one, if you are not willing to understand the language, embrace the learning curve, then insurance in your practice as a primary vehicle for revenue acquisition, not a good choice. Okay. Number two, once again, all these three things that we're talking about today are things that I experience with you guys on a day-to-day basis, right? So number two is a pretty common one. We see this come up in all of the public forums, but number two, if you think hiring a biller means you don't have to worry about insurance, that is a red flag that insurance may not be a good fit for you. So if you think hiring a biller means you can completely check out, don't accept insurance, right? Because for full context, a biller is not a strategist, right? They are not a documentation expert. They're also not a revenue optimizer, right? And even in more clarity, most of them do not know how to bill specifically for registered dietitians. In full transparency, it is not rocket science, but sometimes the expectations we have on people are very different than reality, right? What are billers, right? They are an executor, right? But if you don't understand what should be paid, what should be billed, and what is wrong, that is problematic in and of itself, right? In these scenarios, it's often like the blind leading the blind, right? And I do not think billers mean to be intentionally not helpful. It's just for many of them, they're just as confused as you are. So, what happens in these scenarios is that claims get submitted incorrectly, denials go unchallenged, and money gets left on the table, right? And those were all things you guys were trying to avoid by hiring a biller, right? So your biller submits the claim, but you are still responsible for the money. And so if you do not know how the system works, if you do not know the language, it is extremely challenging. Okay. Number three, I get this many times on discovery calls, and I understand the strong emotion behind it. But I want to talk about why, if you feel this way, it is probably not a good choice to accept insurance. So, number three, you hate insurance, right? If you hate insurance, the first thing I'm going to tell you is do not build your business around it, right? Because insurance is not a one-time decision, right? It is ongoing claims. It is a follow-up. It is super fun policy changes. It is documentation requirements, right? And if you already resent it, if you already hate it, and I'm using the word hate because some of you guys use that word on a discovery call, then you want to avoid insurance entirely. Because what happens when you hate insurance, you procrastinate billing. You avoid fixing denials. Your systems are messy as fuck, right? It's just what happens when you resent something, right? So this turns into delayed payments. You burn out because you're so frustrated by this process and you just have massive headaches. You dread doing the work that you used to love, right? And that's a problem. So if you hate the process, if you hate insurance, understood, but you will not build the systems, and insurance requires systems, right? So just to recap, right? If you are not willing to learn the language, if you hate insurance, right? If you think a biller is going to solve all of these problems, then accepting insurance is not going to be a good fit for you, and that is okay, right? Insurance in all of these scenarios is not the problem. It's really lack of ownership because when you actually understand the language, the true strategy in the systems, that's where insurance becomes profitable. But if you resist any one of those three, it just becomes so not fun, right? So, for these reasons, this is exactly why we created the Reimbursement Academy, specifically level two, the Claim Crushers Club. This is implementation. This is education. This is a soft place to fall with denials, with claim submissions, because truth be told, nobody taught us how to do this shit. And it's super frustrating. But passing it off to somebody else is not going to be a sustainable solution if you do not know what you're doing in the first place. So this is exact. I don't want you guessing anymore. So if you are ready to actually understand what happens behind these claims, this is the room for you, right? In this room, right, you are literally going to stop guessing and start doing and feeling so crystal clear and confident that you know what the fuck you're doing. So we are going to drop the link to level two below this video, okay? And I want you to really go check it out because once you are educated and you know how these things work, you cannot unsee it, right? And so things that you guys are complicating in your heads, things that you are avoiding, Once you learn the systems and the process, you will be a fucking rock star. Okay. So those are my three things for you. Those are the three red flags. Those are the things I see day to day on discovery calls in talking with you guys. So this is not made up shit. These are the three things. If you feel any of these, you should avoid accepting insurance. So I will see you guys next week, same spot, same place.